Good morning, everybody. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga. We're in the month of April 2023. Our theme is standing strength and supine stretch. I've also been bringing in a featured pose. So today's featured pose is kind of a combination of closed hip poses. Warrior One, Pyramid, which is a variation of our Warrior One, and Warrior Three. So we're going to bring those all in together. They move nicely from one to the other and combine balance. I also have optional hand weights today. If you don't want to use them, that's absolutely fine. If you want to throw them in for a little bit of extra upper body strength, let's do it. And I also have a hand towel, a kitchen towel, for some really nice neck releasing and stretching toward the end of our class today. So what I'd like you to do, let's just check in with our shoulders today and see how everything's feeling through the fronts of the shoulders. So if you would come to your mat, and I'm going to come side on so you can see what my arms are doing here in this range of motion. Just want you to inhale and bring your arms forward. And then exhale and imagine you're pushing something heavy behind you and reach back and find that range of motion behind your body. So we'll inhale to come forward and exhale to go back. And the arms and the shoulders are just acting like a little bit of a pendulum here. And I'd like you to move through a pain-free range of motion in those arms. And you can certainly come higher when you go forward if you'd like. And then to the back, being really careful of the shoulders here as we go back. So with our theme being standing strength, with this movement, we're going to take it down into chair pose. So as the arms come forward, the weight sits back in the heels and we come into chair. And as we come up again, we press the arms back, open up the chest. Now you can turn your palms or your forearms a variety of ways. Right now I have my palms facing straight down to the floor, but you can turn your thumbs up position so your palms are facing in. And same thing when you go back, so your pinky finger would be up highest. So notice, does that feel a little bit better for your shoulders? Does it give you a little bit better range of motion? And then we can also turn our forearms until the palms are facing up. So as I come forward, imagine you're holding a little tray right in front of you here. And then keep your hands that way. So as you come back, the back of your hands are up toward the ceiling. What does that do to this movement for you? It's amazing. We can vary a small little action and almost completely change the effectiveness of this movement. So depending on how your arms are positioned, I want you to make this as comfortable as you can. You've got 3 more repetitions. If you feel pretty good, sink down a little lower into your chair pose. Pull those shoulder blades back, really activate the upper back. And one more. And then just hold here with your arms back that comfortable amount. Now I'm going to turn and face away from you so you can see my hands. I'd like for you to see if your right hand can reach behind your back here, like you're placing the back of your hand on your sacrum or your pelvis. And then bring that out and then see if your left hand can do the same thing. So we're working through pain-free range of motion. So if you do this and your shoulder says, no way, then this is an action you're not going to do today. Your next best bet would be to bring your hand to your hip so you still have your elbow slightly out to the side and drawn back. So now that you know what's going to be best for you today, we'll add this to the chair pose. I'll still stay facing backwards. So I want you to come into chair, arms coming forward. And then as your hands come back, take your right hand Bring it behind. And then do a chair, both arms reaching forward. And then your left hand behind. So let's take this alternating sides, going at your own pace. So now we have to inwardly rotate that rotator cuff. And maybe your shoulders aren't liking that, so modify hands to hips. One and then the other. And there could be a big difference between one hand, one shoulder, and the other shoulder. So this is feeling pretty good. As you come down into chair pose and come up and take that right hand back, see if you can grab your left forearm. And then take it down. Bring your arms back. See if your left hand can grab your right forearm. I should say upper arm. So if you can get the hand to come above the elbow to the bicep and grab a hold of it. So there's a lot of progressions we've done here. And if your shoulders aren't liking this at all, you can just stay with this first one we did. Opening those arms back. So let's take one more on each side with the right hand reaching back toward the left bicep. And then the left hand reaching back toward the right bicep. Then come down into your chair and hold. It might feel more comfortable to have palms in at your heart center. That frees those shoulders up from tension, allows you to drop your shoulder blades down and to really bring the shoulder blades together and fire them. You can also press into the palms of your hands to feel some nice tension here. And now we'll come right back up to mountain. Look over your right shoulder and see if you can bring your right hand behind your back and your left hand toward the right shoulder. So my right hand is doing that action we just did a moment ago from chair. And then try it on the other side. Turn, left hand behind you, right hand toward the left shoulder. So as you go from side to side, you're adding a rotation. And since we're rotating the spine, you might be able to reach the hand that's behind you way back around your waist. So if your shoulder says no, when you twist and wrap, just bring your hand to your hip rather than behind your back. And see how far you can look back behind you, rotating through the neck, a nice range of motion. Let's do one more of these on each side. And come back to center. So we are going to add this twist in our chair pose. So let's inhale here. As we exhale, sink down into chair. You'll turn right. The right hand goes behind you. The left hand goes to your right shoulder. And come up and twist to the left. Left hand behind your back, right hand to your left shoulder. Just move this back and forth. Really warming up those legs. Face your direction. Make sure that your knees are tracking evenly, that we're not knocking our knees together. You can also bring your feet tight. And we're being sure we're not bending way over and coming down here. I'm over exaggerating it, but keep that nice upright chair pose. Two more each direction. One more each side. let's press the palms at heart, sink down into a chair and twist it to the right, and we'll hold it. Press into your palms, pull your right shoulder blade back, looking way up over that shoulder. There's a couple of options we can do with this. We can stay here. If you can bend your knees more, you might be able to put your elbow down and brace. Another option is to open up your wingspan here, and I have my left hand braced across that right thigh, and I'm really reaching up. Or you can take this hand and wrap it behind your back. So let's hold here 3 breaths. And pick the option where you have comfort in your right shoulder. On that third exhale, press down into the feet. We'll rise up. If you feel comfortable reaching up, take a nice stretch, extend, maybe a little baby back bend. Inhale. Exhale, sit down into your chair again. We'll rotate to the left side. Press into the palms so you have activation in the chest muscles, in the fronts of the shoulders. Pull the upper left rib cage back and the right rib cage forward. Then take your option. The elbow can come to the knee. We can open, reach up. We can take that left hand and bring it behind the back. Nice and strong through the lower body. Inhale, exhale, 3 more breaths. On that third exhale, come to a line forward. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, hands at heart. Samastitihi, balanced tension. So we're going to work on Warrior 1 today. So with our Warrior 1, take a nice big step back with your right foot and press your heel down to the ground. So your back foot has a slight turnout. If you feel like you're having trouble with balance, then I want you to open your legs a little wider to the side so you can walk your left foot out a little bit. So you have a wider base of support here. And then arms are always up to you. Classical Warrior 1, the arms are reaching. And maybe today you're here or even at heart center. So this being a closed hip pose means neither one of your thighs are rotating out. So we want that left knee to be tracking straight forward, our right leg to be right behind us, and our hips as squared and level as we can. Now try to really straighten this back leg. You might feel a big stretch up your calf, behind your knee, and squeeze your right glute just a little bit to help you open up the hip flexor. So when everything is active in this pose, it's a lot of work. So you're not just standing here in this pose, you are standing with all capital letters, really engaged. All right, let's practice it on the other side. See how you're feeling. Step the back foot forward. And then take a nice step back with your left leg. Now, a lot of times in yoga practice, you'll see a Warrior 1. I'll do my best to demonstrate it. Really down like this and a big step. Doesn't mean that's wrong, but a lot of times it's hard to keep our hips closed if we do our warrior like that. So I want you to pick a stance. This is even a Warrior 1 right here. So I want you to pick a stance that really works well to keep those hips aligned forward. And for me, it's kind of that shorter stance. We can widen our feet a little bit. Choose what you'd like to do with your arms, and then really try to straighten out the back leg. So I'm doing my best to straighten out my back knee, but it's got a little bit of a knock knee deformity in it because of my arthritis. So that's as good as I can get it. And I want you guys to think about your body and what issues you might have. And our pose doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. It's as good as you can get it. Let's squeeze this left glute here. Activate your abs. The arms can come up. This is your choice on warrior one. Let's take one more breath. Inhale. And exhale. Step that back foot forward. As we come back, you can shake out the legs a little. Just notice what you felt in your body. So if you need a chair for support, you're going to have that right in front of you as we move this into what we call the pyramid pose. So with pyramid, instead of having the front knee bent, the leg is straight. So we'll take a big step back with your right foot. Find your warrior one. Closed hip pose, so driving that right hip forward. And then we'll straighten out the left leg. So both of our legs are straight now. Quads are active, glutes are active. And we hinge right from our hips. And we fold down any amount. And the hands can come to your chair for support. You can also use your block if you're coming down more. And it's really not that exciting to touch the floor on this, because usually what happens is to touch it, you've got to curve your back and come down. That's not always the best option. The best option is to keep a neutral spine and a flat back, and to find that stretch in your hamstring with really good alignment. So let's take a couple more breaths here, see how this feels for you, see where you need to be to get a good stretch. And you might be up here, and that's a further you can fold forward. So make this your very best pyramid. And then we'll come up, rebend that left knee a little bit and step the back foot forward. All right, our left foot steps back. We first find our warrior one. So we found it earlier. Drive that left hip forward, right hip back, arms wherever you like. Squeeze that left glute and then straighten out the front leg. And again, you might need to step your feet out a little wider from each other. I'm going to heel toe my right foot wider so that you have balance to do this. And then hinge from your hip. Fold this forward into your pyramid. And the first thing that should determine how far you come down is the stretch behind the back of your right thigh. Nice neutral spine. Support, chair, or block. Now, do you have to have support? You don't, but it does help you release into the stretch. What I would like not to do is put my hand here on my knee for support, because that's going to force that leg to try to lock out a little bit. So let's hold that stretch, just a couple more breaths, see where you are today on this side. And soften that knee as you come up, back through your warrior one, and step the back foot forward, Samastitihi. Notice how your legs are feeling now. I feel a big change, a nice big sensation. So your option is we're going to add some bicep curl. If you have a little weight in front of you, let's take it in the right hand and step the right foot back into your warrior one. Nice and strong. So earlier in class today, we practiced reaching behind and seeing if we could grab our forearm. So I want you to take your left hand, you'll press it back behind you, and then see if you can grab your right bicep. Now remember, there were some options for this. You can place your hand at your hip. Another really nice option is to actually wrap your yoga strap up around your bicep and reach your hand behind, get a hold of it, and then you're kind of walking your fingers along your yoga strap. So I like that as an option because what I want to do is keep the right arm right where it is. I don't want you to be able to move it forward or back. So you're either holding onto it or you've got a yoga strap around it. So now let's do a right arm bicep curl and bring it down, just nice and slow. So in a bicep curl, the elbow is the hinge. So we're not bringing our arm forward or back. It's locked in place with strong shoulders. Good. One more bicep curl. Now we'll straighten out the front leg. Hinging from the hip, you'll just come into pyramid and notice where my arm is. It's directly to the side of my body. And I feel some work into my tricep in the back of my shoulder. And then we'll come up. So I'm just coming in and out of pyramid without moving my right arm, with or without a hand weight. You have one more. There's a little micro bend in your front knee. It's softened. Now as you come up, we'll do a bicep curl when we're at the top. Start to hinge and take it over, and you're in that full extension of the arm next to the side of the body. We'll do 3 more like that. Come up, bicep curl. Hinge forward. You might like to use your left hand to support yourself on your chair rather than reaching behind your back. That's all right as well. Let's get one more in here, going nice and slow. Then hold here in place. 5 tricep extensions. So bend your elbow. And notice if you have your hand around your bicep or the strap around your bicep, you cannot drop your upper arm. It's got to stay right in position. So we're getting some feedback as to whether or not we're swinging the upper arm. Let's get 2 more. 1 more. And then straighten and hold. Rise up. And step the back foot forward. Release the strap. Release the weight for a moment. So if you had your left hand behind you, you should be feeling a really good stretch there in that shoulder. So let's just take a couple shoulder rolls, make sure everything feels okay in both of those arms before we switch sides. Then if you're using your weight, you'll take that in your left hand. And then I think I'm going to turn your way so you can actually see the arm that's loaded, but you can stay the same direction. So now our left foot steps back. We find our warrior 1 position with the legs. And then see if you can reach your right hand behind you and take a hold of your bicep or use your yoga strap. And notice what this does to my posture. It keeps my shoulders pulled back. I have really good alignment. Pull your abs in. Let's try a bicep curl and down. So if you can't grab your bicep, you don't have a yoga strap, then your arm just maybe is at your hip or slightly behind your back here. Anchoring that curl. And notice you're not moving your upper arm at all. Let's do 1 more. These are nice and slow, controlled. Then keep the arm straight. Straighten out the front leg. Readjust your alignment. And then you were just hinging from the hip. The arm is going with you. So now your weight is up parallel to the body. And you can either inhale when you go down or exhale when you go down. Just make sure you're breathing and you're finding a good breath pattern for yourself. Now, when you come up, do a bicep curl. And if you're not using weight, go ahead and do the action. And then hinge it over. And again, you're letting that right hamstring be your guide as to how far you go. But we don't want to take it much further than parallel to the floor, even if your hamstrings are pretty flexible for this particular exercise. If that right shoulder is starting to bother you behind your back, listen to your body and let it go. Last one. Hold here and do 5 tricep kickbacks. The elbow bends and straightens. 1. Reconnect with your core. Brace your abs in. 2. 3. Upper arm doesn't move. 4. 5. Now we press it up and hold it right there. It's back in position. Pull your upper body back up and step forward. Release the arm behind your back and release your weight back to your chair, wherever you have it there. Let's take a couple shoulder rolls. Both directions. And back to mountain. Let's press our palms at the heart, and now we'll take a big step back with our right foot and turn open into a warrior 2. Lengthen and stretch. We'll take this into a side angle pose. So I'm going to brace my left forearm down to my right thigh and reach my arm up. Now, if this is uncomfortable for your shoulder, you know you can do anything with this arm here. So you're protecting it, because really the arm is just an accessory to this pose. Can come behind your back if you're still working on that. Can reach close to your ear, which gives you a wonderful stretch. Now make sure we're not leaning over. So pull this right shoulder back, just like we did in the twist. And then just bring your hand across your abdomen. We're going to practice a rotator cuff action. So you're going to keep that elbow in pretty close to your waist. And a nice idea, if you want to grab your hand towel, would be to tuck it right in that space between your elbow and your rib cage. And then you can kind of press down into it as you rotate. So we are practicing this for the potential of adding a hand weight in just a moment to this pose. Let's do 2 more. And 1. Pull yourself up, open out, warrior 2. Option to lift the arms or not. Then press the palms to your heart, and we'll just do a switcheroo of the feet here. So pivot. That back foot is parallel to the edge of your mat, your front foot perpendicular. We have a heel to arch alignment. We'll come down into our side angle pose here. And just check in with this shoulder and see where it would feel nice to hold this pose for a few breaths. Good. Now keep pulling this top rib cage back. Bottom rib cage pulls forward, and bring the left hand toward the front of your abdomen and rotate. Good. And maybe I shouldn't cue sides of the body, because if you're facing me and you're mirroring me, you could be using the other arm. So whichever one is the top, let's move that through your rotator cuff range of motion. Make sure we're not moving the upper arm, but that arm bone is rotating in the shoulder socket. 2 more. Nice and strong through the lower body. Our front knees bent any amount. And then use the strength of the side body to pull yourself back up. Warrior 2. And then we'll just press our palms at heart center. Pivot both feet forward. We'll take a breath. Inhale, reach. Exhale, swan dive down into a nice forward fold. Just relax your arms, relax your shoulders, relax your back, and stretch your hamstrings. You can use a chair or a block for support here. 2 more breaths. Now hands can come to your hips if that feels comfortable for your arms, and with a straight neutral spine, pull up, 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 up with your body. And then find the front of your mat to collect an optional hand weight. So with rotator cuff, it needs to be very light. So I'm going to choose my 3-pounder. At home, you can also use maybe a little can of soup or something just to give you a little bit of resistance. And we'll take a big step back. I'll let you choose which foot that you're going to use to face the camera. So I'm not going to lift the weight up in my warrior 2. Let's take this elbow down to support in side angle position and drape the arm across the abdomen. Now before we begin, pull this top shoulder back, the bottom rib cage under. Your head can be looking up. You can look neutral. You can look down, but try not to drop your chin to your chest. Now let's activate the rotator cuff. Bring it up and come back across. Now, if you'd really like to have a core challenge, instead of supporting on your forearm, you can extend this arm so you're using your entire core to stay in side angle pose, or just lightly touching your elbow to your thigh. Exhale on the movement. 4. The back leg is straight and the glute is contracted. 3. Nice strong core. 2. And 1. And very carefully, with the strength of your side body, pull yourself back up, and we'll pivot the feet. Turn in and turn out. Find your good warrior 2 alignment. And again, your length of your stride is whatever you feel comfortable with. We'll come down and support. Bring that weight draped across the abdomen. Pull the top shoulder back. Bottom rib cage pulls forward, and we rotate. So my elbow is bent at about 90 degrees. And again, you can tuck a little hand towel. So since mine is close by, I'm going to show you what that looks like. You'd have the hand towel tucked into your rib cage. So you're pressing into it and not moving your arm away from the side body. 4. We go slow and controlled. 3. With or without weight, to your range of motion with comfort and pain-free. 2. And 1. And then nice and strong, pull back up with a strong core. I'm going to release that hand towel. And then we'll step back toward the top of your mat. You might need to take a couple little baby steps to get yourself forward. Release your hand weight. Stand in a nice strong mountain pose, just check in. And now we'll come into warrior three, and I'm going to use my chair as an option. You can also use a wall or a block to help you with balance. So step back away a little bit so that your support is out in front of you. And we'll take a step back with our right foot into warrior one. So we've been here before. So come into that nice connection. You can step your feet a little wider to have a strong base of support. Square your hips, squeeze your glute, drive that back hip forward. And we'll reach the arms out any amount and then bring them back behind you. So we did this at the very beginning of class, moved through this range of motion. So if you need assistance for balance here as we come into warrior three, instead of pulling your arms behind you, you'll reach them out to your chair. So let's do one more, just moving through range of motion. Then reach the hands forward, shift your body weight into your front foot, pick up your back foot, and tap that chair if you need that support. So when we're standing on one leg balancing, sometimes this top hip wants to turn up because we're trying to stack ourselves over our support. So keep dropping your right hip down, your back leg is as straight as you can get it, and you're flexing your ankle. So what we're going to do is for about a minute and a half, we're going to move back and forth between these two poses at your own pace. So if we rebend that front knee, step back, we find warrior one. As we step forward, our hands can either come to the chair or we can bring them behind us. Warrior three. So just take your time, stepping back gently, carefully, coming into each pose with good posture, good alignment, with or without support. You can stay in each pose as long as you'd like. Or a common technique with yoga is one breath, one movement. So a big inhale, and then a big exhale. It's all up to you. Now this is a really good strengthener for your front, that standing leg. You'll feel this in your hamstring and your glute. Really builds hip strength. We have about 20 seconds. Your standing leg can be bent slightly. This will be your last one. Then come back to your warrior one. Press palms at your heart. Step forward either into chair or into mountain. So if you'd like to work the legs a little more, we hold chair. If you need a break for the hip, we stand into mountain. So let's hold 3 breaths. And feel the difference between your left hip and your right hip. All right, if you're in that chair, press back up. We'll take a step back with our left foot to set up a really good warrior one. Opening the feet any width apart, driving the left hip forward, that back hip, so we have everything squared. So let's just try reaching the arms forward and bringing them back. Just one more. When those arms come forward, we'll try our warrior one on this side, picking up, or warrior three, picking up that back foot, supporting. A block works really nice, or even 2 blocks if you have that. Or if you're up against a wall, just bring your fingertips up on the wall to help you balance. First thing we check is to make sure our left hip isn't rising. So level off your pelvis, straighten your back leg, flex your foot. Feel energy in that free leg. So it's working even though it's not standing on the floor. All right, let's come back to our warrior one. We have 90 seconds to move in and out of each pose. Inhaling to prepare and begin. So the arms can go behind you, just like we practiced in our warrior. And they can come forward. We can bring them to our support. I really want you to start to notice this standing leg, the one that's in front. You've got to activate your glute and your hamstring here as you come up and weight bear on that side, and then really control it coming down. Use your quadricep, the front of your thigh. Everybody's going to look a little bit different doing these two poses depending on your body. Make this the best that you can be. Make sure you're not holding your breath. We have 20 seconds. This will be your last warrior three. And coming back to your warrior one, either stepping into chair or mountain, depending on where you want to go with your work here. Hold and breathe. Noticing the difference in the sensation between our right hip and our left hip, whether you're in chair or you're just standing upright. 2 more breaths. And rise all the way up as we come into mountain. All right, we need to stretch out the hips. We're going to do it standing first. So this will be our standing pigeon, and then we'll bring it down onto our backs for figure 4. So I've still got my chair in front of me. You can have a wall. And we are going to lift up the right knee. Maybe hug it into your chest to start. And then bend your standing knee a little bit and cross that right ankle over your thigh. You can also do this sitting in your chair. So just sit, bring your right ankle up over your left thigh, and then fold your body forward. So if you're standing, the more you bring your chest over the legs, the more you're going to feel this hip opener to stretch the outer right thigh and glute. If balance is your focus, try letting go of the chair and hold here. And we won't be here too long because we're going to hold a lot longer once we get on our back. Take 1 more breath. And then any way you'd like to exit, you can uncross first or stand up on 1 foot and then uncross. Lengthen, take a breath. Exhale, pick up your left knee, hug it into your chest. And then we'll soften the standing leg, bring the ankle across the thigh, come down, supporting. We're checking in on your balance. Maybe you're just touching 1 finger to your chair, or you can let it go. Strength and balance all at the same time, wrapped up with flexibility. And just 1 more breath. find your way that's most comfortable to come out of that stretch. Coming back up to mountain. So since our theme is supine stretching, I'm going to show figure 4 laying on your back. But if you're a person who loves pigeon pose and you'd rather flip it around onto your front side and do pigeon, that would be great as well. We're going to hold for 2 minutes on each side, and then also have your hand towel ready for our neck stretches. So if you're doing pigeon, you can get into that whichever way works best for you, or we can come down onto our backs to stretch those hips in a supine position for figure 4. I'm also going to have my chair out in front of me as an option to use for figure 4 stretch. So if you'd like to try that, you're going to come down onto your back with your feet pretty close to your chair. And they should be a distance where you can put your feet right up on here. Make sure your chair can't slide out away from you. And then we'll take our right leg and extend it up and lengthen that hamstring, point and flex the ankle. Circle the ankle. Just relaxing. Reverse your circle. Then flex the foot, hold it flexed, bend that right knee, bring the ankle across the left thigh, and use your hand to press away into the beginning of our figure 4 stretch. So our option here, we can bring the knees up, and if you have that chair in front of you, you can just place your foot right on that chair. If it's not giving you enough stretch, you're just going to sneak your body a little closer on your mat. So when you pick up the foot, oh, there, I'm really feeling it. You can also use a wall. And all this does really is it gives you some support. You don't have to reach through and yank on your legs and pull them up. You can just relax here in this restorative hip opener. As we're here for 2 minutes, I'd like you to just close your eyes and breathe. And then your arms can be by your side. If you're using the chair, you can relax your shoulders. Maybe coming into a goalpost arm position would feel great. Or reaching them out above the head to stretch here. Pain-free range of motion. The breathing is long and slow and full, especially slow in your exhalation. Just do a little head to toe scan to see if you're tensing any muscles anywhere. Usual suspects are your jaw. Sometimes we clench our teeth without knowing. Sometimes we shrug our shoulders up without realizing. Or we wrinkle our eyebrows. That little place right between your eyes. So just soften all the muscles of your face. If you're watching later on YouTube and you want a little bit longer stretch, that's good. Just hit the pause button. I'll be back when you come back. I'll be here. All right, let's get ready to switch sides. So if you chose pigeon today, come out any way that feels comfortable for you. If you're with me in figure 4, we'll uncross that ankle. We'll set our feet down to the mat, about hips distance apart, and just do a little gentle windshield wiper side to side. Or you can even hug your knees into your chest and do some knee circles. Releasing the low back. Then let's set it up on the other side. The left knee comes in. We extend the leg up any amount. Does it have to be all the way straight? No, you take it to your level of flexibility. If you're here, this is okay. And point and flex. Circle the ankle. Nice active stretch. And reverse. Then flex and hold. We'll cross that left ankle over the right thigh. Push your knee away from you gently. And perhaps this is where you'd like to stay for this stretch. That's okay too. Or let's try to pull those knees up any amount. Can you place your foot on the support there of your chair? And that will give you the opportunity to relax your arms by your side. Or in goalpost, or reaching up. And we have a 2-minute hold. I've got my timer running there. I can glance over at. Let's bring our awareness to our breath. And again, just scanning the body to make sure you're not clenching or gripping anywhere. Allow your pelvis to feel grounded into the mat, your shoulder blades as well. And just for a moment, imagine that someone brought over a nice, heavy, warm blanket and just placed it on your body and helped you to sink down and ground a little bit more into your mat. Just absorb the weight of that blanket, the warmth and the heat, and increase the length of your breath. Inhale fully, exhale completely. So make sure you're not fighting the stretch. So if you ever feel shaking when you're stretching, it means it's time to take a break and find a little bit easier edge on your stretch. Let's take one more breath. Inhale. Exhale. If you're in pigeon, I want you to move any way that feels comfortable for you and eventually come to a seated position. If you're with me in figure 4, uncross the foot, open those knees out a little bit, take a windshield wiper side to side. And we are finishing with a nice neck release. So if you feel more comfortable coming up to sit in a chair, you can do that. Or if you feel comfortable sitting on your mat, let's come to that position. You can sit up on a block or a blanket to lift your hips. Just find a comfortable seated position. So I have Linda to thank for this stretch. So this is a stretch that she was given for her neck, and it feels so lovely. So we're going to take this hand towel, and we can either roll it or we can fold it. Just grab the ends, the long ends, and place it around the back of the neck. Then with our right hand, we are going to reach across and take the left side end. With our left hand, we'll take the right side in. So we have our arms kind of crisscrossed. And you want to adjust this so it feels like your longer side is over here to the right. And we are going to drape that across the ear and give yourself a nice gentle pull with your bottom arm. And with your top arm, take your neck into a side stretch. And we're holding. You can either stay static for about 60 seconds, or you can try to move your head in various positions, maybe dropping your chin down or slightly lifting it up. This part of the towel is nicely supporting the side of your neck. And we're not using a lot of force here. This is really gentle. The right side of the neck is lengthening. This is a great one to do at home on your own. Let's take one more breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Release and come back up. Lowering that towel down. You can even them out a little bit. And now your left hand reaches across, then your right. We make this side longer on the left side. We bring it up over the ear, and we gently tip the head to the side. Noticing any changes or any differences between the right and left side. Again, you can add a little bit of movement, maybe dropping your chin. All of those little adjustments are done very slowly. So feel the support along the right